In today's LensVid Talk, we're looking at news about Sony's new global shutter, new affordable slow motion cameras, and 18K film. Stick around.
Hi, hello everybody. Hello Art.
Hey, you doing?
Hi, and we're doing LensVid Talk 10 today.
I'm running out of fingers now.
And we have a lot of topics to cover as usual.
You got 2 pages now? Come on.
Yeah. We have really a lot of topics today. But I want to start with a few things which are basically not news, but relevant to all the stuff that we are doing. Right. So first of all, we've done a little bit of a few changes here. We changed this cable to a black one. I know people commented that the red one was a little bit too
distracting.
Yeah, so we changed it, and I'm thinking about changing the road. I don't know if you can see it, but there is a lot of road all over this arm. So that's the next project. Yeah. But these are small things.
Spray paint.
Yeah. An interesting thing for people who are following us on YouTube, obviously, we started posting a lot of shorts segments based on these LensVid talks. And I've been using service. It's not a software, it's a service called Opusclip. Yeah. It's a new thing. I think it's by two guys from California. Really? It started in 2022, so say year and something old. And
at the onset of the AI revolution.
Yeah. It's AI based, as you said, and it's kind of cool. Did you have a chance to try it or not yet?
I looked at it. I haven't cut anything with it. No.
So you can try it for free. I think you have like 20 minutes. I don't remember. You can try it basically. I think for one video or something like that without watermark, and then it's watermarked and with some restrictions. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. I paid for a yearly subscription because I think it's good enough. It's not perfect by any means at the moment, but it's good enough to actually be usable and save me time, because I'm not a very fast editor. If you're a very, very fast editor, I'm not sure that it's really necessary, especially if you have all sorts of other plugins that do some of the stuff that this does. For example, it has this feature that I think there are plugins that do that basically writes the text that you're saying on the screen and highlights but it highlights the specific words that you're saying, which is nice. And it also adds all sorts of like emojis and stuff like that from time to time. Are they relevant? I know, but it's nice. It's for social, obviously, in our case, it's for shorts. So it's a cool thing. I think that they can take it that much further. They have so many things that, first of all, it basically the way it works, you bring in like a YouTube link. Mm-hmm. So you have to have a YouTube link. I think that they also accept some. I don't think that you can upload a video. Maybe, and I didn't see, but I think not. I think you have to bring in some sort of a video from like an actual online thing. And then it takes it for our videos, which these LensVid talks are about 20 minutes or so. It took about 20 minutes. So basically you go eat something and it sends you an email when it's done. Mm-hmm. So it processes the entire video, goes over the entire video, and it gives you, I don't remember how many, like I think 20 short, you can choose how long you want them. They can be like 30 seconds, a minute, even a little bit more maybe, or automatic, something like that. Clips cut out of what you are basically doing. It's designed primarily for these sort of things, because most of the stuff that it does is like show two people talking, and let's say I'm talking now, so it will show me. And then
I start talking,
it will cut to you. And sometimes you have like a split screen for two people talking. And it's all vertical, obviously. And sometimes it also knows to bring some B-roll if you have a B-roll in the video. It can also bring its own B-roll if you're not doing something where B-roll is like important to have the specific B-roll that you want, then maybe it's
Something
sort of
generic,
fun. Yeah, it's kind of sort of like it's not generic. It's like stock. Yeah. So if you want it, it exists as they call it beta, so it's still beta. But I didn't use it so far. I used our own. Sometimes it brings the B-roll that we are using, but for the most part, it didn't. Now, I think that they can do so much more. For example, it could be a plugin within Premiere or DaVinci or whatever. And then, first of all, the quality is much better because it crops in quite a bit because it's vertical.
Right.
And if the video, this video is not vertical. So if the video is not vertical and you're cropping into vertical, that can, eat the quality.
Right.
So if you're starting with better quality, that will help. And you can also, it will be, I think, easier to restrict it. Let's say that you want specific shorts for, now it's more or less like I mean, maybe you have a little bit of control, but for the most part, it's like, create, like you drop it, work, and it creates its own thing. But if you will be able to say, I want like a short from 3 minutes through
in and out
30
points and
exactly
cut this down, right? Okay.
Exactly, and use or don't use the B-roll that exists there, or take a B-roll from somewhere else, or upload a B-roll. I'm thinking that they started with this thing because I think that a lot of people just want something super, super simple. Like drop it, get the clips, upload. You can, I think, even upload from the service itself.
Okay.
What I've been doing, which is probably not what they were thinking, is that I'm downloading it and then re-editing it. Not a lot, but I'm fixing it because sometimes the cuts are not very good. There are all sorts of as and like all sorts of, so it's not perfect. And out of like 20 that I'm getting, let's say maybe 4, sometimes 5 are okay. Something like that.
So a small percentage.
Let's say 20% in a good on a good one.
Yeah.
So they have a lot of things that they can improve, but it still saves time.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I think that's where we're at. And again, this AI revolution, it's like this is still the first phase of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
for sure.
like these are experimental. Most of these projects are very experimental. But what they do is give you like a rough draft that you can take and run with it, right? Of course, again, if it's if you're starting with a lower quality video and it crops in, then it's not that great, and then you re-edit it, re-render it. I don't know how much you can get, but still, it is a great time saver, and I think it's only going to get better. And
if it makes like 20 of those, then it can still save you time. But yeah. It really depends on your workflow. If your workflow is, specific that this will actually help you, I'm saying, if this is something that interests you, try it and see if it works. If it does, it's about $10 a month for, I think, quite a lot of like 20 hours. 20 hours, I'm not exactly sure if it's 20 hours of process, because 20 hours of process for a year is not a lot.
Yeah.
If these are like an hour of video, then that's going to be eaten fairly quickly. On the other hand, if it's 20 hours of resulting clips, then that actually makes a lot of sense. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll try and talk to them after this video and see what they're saying. So that's Opusclip. That's the name of the service. I'm actually doing. Let's talk a little bit about reviews. I'm doing a review of a plugin for Photoshop that we talked about before. It's called Retouch4me.
Right.
They actually, after the talk that we have done here, they approached us and asked if we wanted to do a review. And I agreed. And
so you've been working with that?
Yeah, I've been working with that. For those who didn't see this, Retouch4me is basically a service or a series of plugins for Photoshop that are primarily for portraits. Basically, that's the main thing, and it's again AI based. They're very, very interesting. They're not cheap by any means. They're quite expensive.
You buy every one of them, right? It's like,
if you buy every one, yeah, that's a lot of money. But my conclusion, and you should probably see the full review once it's up. Maybe it will be even up before this we publish this one. But the idea is that if you're a professional photographer doing portrait work every day and getting money for it, or a retoucher retouching portraits again every day, then this can actually save you quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
Again, depending on how you edit, what you do, your workflow and everything. But if it does fit your workflow, then it can definitely save you time. And with these type of work, time is money. So that can definitely be worth it despite the cost. If you're not working on it every day, and then that's more of maybe one of them or something like that. And in the review, I'm actually going over all of them, and I'm ranking, each one by how useful it was for our workflow and how successful it was on the images that we use it for.
So what's the most useful one?
There is one that removes blemishes. I think it's very good. There are two that I think have a lot of potential, but as they are right now, from our experience, are not that good. One of them is supposed to clean backgrounds or backdrops. I think it has a ton of potential. It does clean, but very specific sort of dirt, and it's I don't know. It can be much better. I'm showing it in the review. We didn't test all of them. There are, I think, 11 or 12. We tested 7 of them, which are more relevant to what we do. So, look at the review. It's coming. You're actually doing a review of a tripod that we saw, I think, in IBC, right?
We saw it at IBC. It actually came in a bit earlier before we got there.
Yeah.
It's the Ulanzi.
The name is...
They have 7 of them now. I don't know how
7?
many.
Really?
It's 4 or 5, 7. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a bunch of them, so I'm not sure what the actual...
model number.
I'll put it on the screen. Yeah, it's a small travel carbon fiber tripod with an integrated head with a center column and a leveling plate.
It's a mini fluid head or a ball head? Because these are one of the variants.
Right, it's not a ball head. It's a mini fluid head. I don't think it's actually a fluid head because it's so small. I don't know how they would fit like a fluid.
No, but fluid.
Right, as in video head. It's not a photo head. I think it's been really great. It's small enough. I just have it in my backpack. It's very light. It has the clasp locks. The leveling head is great. I think it's a great addition to. We actually have some leveling heads on the studio tripods here.
Is it tall enough? You're shooting a lot of interviews. Have you used it for interviews?
A lot of them are sit down interviews, so you don't need a lot of height. But yeah, I've extended it all the way, and it's tall enough, especially with the center column. It's not like one of the studio tripods here, but it's tall enough. You can get it to 6 feet, 180 centimeters.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's interesting. I think that both Ulanzi and I think Small Rig now has a new tripod with some interesting ideas. So we're starting to see a new generation of tripods from all sorts of manufacturers, especially the light ones. But we are also in the process of working, maybe a little bit after you finish with this one. We have the YC Onion Pinata tripod, so that's going.
It's a totally different.
No, that's a different animal. Yeah, completely different. No, this is a small, lightweight travel tripod. So that's the Ulanzi. Now we can go over to some actual news, and maybe the biggest news, I think, in recent, I don't know, maybe of the entire year, I would say.
Yeah, that's probably the.
I can't think of anything more important
Sony had the big camera, the Burano, and they had the...
Yeah, but the Burano is actually, this is also very specific, but yeah.
They've been going more like
we are actually
specialty
talking
cameras, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about the Sony A9 III.
Yeah, and that's an even more specialty lens, but the 300 f2.8.
Yeah.
So first of all, both of these, I think, I'm not sure about the lens, I think, but the camera is only going to be available in March 2024. So
Really?
yeah, it's not something that is ready right now. But there have been some reviews, or early reviews, I would say, because nobody has tested the raw files because they're not ready. There is no way of like opening them. So I'm actually kind of, I wouldn't say happy, but I'm okay with us not testing it at the moment. They didn't have a unit that we could test anyway, but I talked to Sony about this, and maybe we'll have one like sometime next year, early next year. And hopefully by then there will be some sort of like a way to open the RAW.
Right, they should have some beta version of
maybe we'll see, but
Kodak. What is it?
RAW. I forgot the name, but yeah, basically, Photoshop usually have them only after a camera is really official, so that will only be in March. So I know. Maybe you can open it through the one that Sony has, the
Catalyst Browse.
Man, I don't know. Is it for stills as well? I think it's for video.
No, yeah, that one's for video. What's the one?
They have something. Oh, the creator. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So maybe through this.
Image and Edge is still available, right?
I'm honestly, I'm not sure. They keep changing the names of their software, but even if you can, the ability to actually edit something in that software is really limited. So I don't know. But let's talk about the camera. So first of all, I'm seeing this, like the big highlight obviously is the global shutter. Now, for people who don't know what a global shutter is, just imagine, there are a lot of videos on this on YouTube, you can find them, but basically the idea is very simple. You have a shutter which goes like into
two curtains.
Yeah, basically like this, and from the beginning of the digital age, sensors had like to read line by line, and this causes a lot of issues in certain situations. Obviously, not all the time, but if you're panning very quickly, instead of like a straight line, you will get like something
wobbly line.
Exactly. And this is very evident in video, but also in stills. You know, if you're shooting like somebody with a golf club, or like the rotors of I don't know, an airplane, you will get like so that's one issue. You have issues with flash sync speed. You have issues with flickering lights in some places, and on and on. So there are all sorts of issues that come with like a regular, like, how do you call it, non-global shutter? No, it has a name, but the idea is that this has been a problem for years and years, and global shutter has always been like the holy grail. Now, if you remember, we've been to IBC and talked to Zcam, which have a camera. Actually, it's not the only one. They have a couple of them with global shutter. And I think Red has at least one camera with global shutter, maybe more. And we'll talk about this in a moment. But there are slow motion cameras. I think all of them have global shutters for obvious reasons. So this is, it's not like a new thing. But for still or hybrid camera at this price range, and it's not a cheap camera, but still, with a full frame sensor, that's, as far as I know, that's a first. So this is the big thing. So it's really interesting. Now, aside from the global shutter, the A9 III has actually quite a few interesting features, which, as far as I know, I mean, if you compare it to the A9 Mark II, obviously it's a huge jump, because that's an old camera with old menus, and everything is like, you know, all the video is like 8-bit, and I think, and the new one has like much higher resolution EVF, which is, you know, and I think the frame, like the frame rate is 120 all the time. Even the A1, I think, doesn't have it. It drops in certain situations. So that's one. And it has all sorts of interesting features that no other Sony cameras has, like pre-capture. So basically, you can tell the camera, let's say you can have like a 1 second pre-capture. So when you press the shutter, basically it starts, you have like 1 second before of shooting, and it keeps eating it like it's a buffer basically.
Right.
So it keeps using it, and when you press it, this is where it starts to save to the camera. So it records all the time. It probably eats a lot of battery in the process.
Yeah.
But
is it the same type battery?
Yeah, it's the same type of battery. From what I understand, the battery life is not as good as other, like the A9 II and even the A1. It's not as good, probably because the global shutter itself takes a lot of battery, even without this pre-capture feature. It also has like a C5 bottom in the front, and you have the option. It can shoot up to 120 frames per second in stills, which is insane. Like the A1 is 30 and 30. This is 120 with autofocus and everything.
What kind of media is it? Like the cards? Is it only
the same
SD cards?
Yeah. No, not SD. CF Express. I'm guessing you will need the CF. Yeah, not BA. All Sony's are. Yeah. So it has this, and you can configure the front bottom, this C5 bottom, to actually, let's say that you can choose to record 20 frames per second when you press the shutter, but if you press the other button, it moves to 120 instantly. So because sometimes you need it just for like a fraction of a second to do, like in sports, for example. Right. So you shoot 120 and then go back to 20 or 10 or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Or you can configure it to whatever you want, but that's just another configurable button. Oh, and another thing that I've seen somebody talking about in this camera, which is completely unrelated to all the other features, is that for the first time, I don't know how much you hate the structure of the folders inside the. It's horrible. Like the video, how many clicks do you have to go into?
It's always like, I was just playing with the menus because we were trying to configure 4 different cameras to the same menus, and it's like every time it's just looking through, especially when you configure the button, like customize the dials.
I'm talking about in you're taking the memory card, you put it in the computer.
Oh, that too. Yeah, that makes
you have
no sense.
For video, you have to do. First of all, the naming is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, if I would plan this, I would make like stills and video, 2 folders. Yeah. You have all the stills, all the video, and if you really like, you can put inside the stills, you can have RAW and JPEG, and that's it. That's the entire folders, and that's everything. But they have this DSIM, which is, what the hell is this?
Well, they've always had that. Even Canon has that. Okay, but that's for photos, and then to get to the video, you have like 4 other subfolders.
So they removed one of them.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's a big. I mean, if you're doing it
only on this camera.
Only on this camera.
Nice. Thank you, Sony.
I would say that in a firmware update they can put it on all the existing cameras. I don't know. It's like,
I've been doing this for I don't know how many years now with Sony, and every time it's like, oh, wrong folder.
I hate it. And I think in one of my cameras now, one of the cameras that we are using now, I don't know what it did, but it created like 3 of each folder. So I have like 3 DSIM and 3 video folders, and I need to go. I don't know what happened. Hopefully it won't, like, the video will come out well, but I need to format, I think, in the camera. Always format inside the camera.
Yeah, that helps.
It's really important. So that's the A9 III. I don't have much to say about the 300. Seems like an amazing lens. To what I shoot, it's usually, I think, pretty short. Like 200 is like too short. 300 is too short for birds and stuff, but for sports and like other things, it's great. You can use a teleconverter, no problem. But I've seen, I think, a little bit of comparison with teleconverter. With a 1 to 1.4x, it seems to work fantastically well. The 2x, you do see some degradation in the image quality. With the 2x, it will be great, but again, it will be like 600, 5.6, I think.
It's 2.8, yeah.
I think.
It loses 2 stops.
Yeah. So it's great, but you are going to see some degradation in the image quality. So that's the A9 III and the 300 f2.8. So onto a different camera, and I mentioned slow motion cameras when I mentioned global shutter and Chronos. I'm not sure where they're from. Maybe the US, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I put it on the screen. But they have 2 new slow motion cameras. Now, honestly, I've been waiting for new slow motion cameras for years. Yeah. We have a robot in the studio, and the one thing that we're really missing is a slow motion camera. Now, I've talked to Chronos, to the CEO, the founder of Chronos a year ago, and we actually did a full interview but never published it because we actually needed to do like a video interview and it never materialized. Hopefully after this one, I'll be able to talk to him again and maybe we can, find the time to actually do this. They released 2 cameras. One is called the 4K 12, strange name, and the other one is just called the Q12. Not sure what 12 means, but the idea is this. The previous one was called the Chronos 2.1 HD, and it was an HD camera. Both of these are 4K cameras, and they can record 4K at 1400 frames per second. This is amazing. Yeah, really fantastic. These sort of speeds have, I think, mostly been attainable through Phantom Flex cameras, which are very, very expensive, also pretty big and very, I would say, cumbersome to operate. Yeah. It's not like a regular, it's
not a point and shoot.
No, definitely not. So they came up with cameras which are supposedly much easier to operate, like the previous one, and a lot cheaper. For reference, I think Phantom Flex is, I'm not sure, it depends, I think, on the specific model and configuration, whatever. 60, 80, 100, I've seen different numbers. It's a lot of money. 1,000, 60, 80, or $100,000. Yeah, that's a lot of money. So these are significantly less expensive, but they're still pretty expensive. So, I mean, again, they're a big jump from the previous one. The first one, the 4K 12, is a micro four third sensor, and the second one is a Super 35, so basically an APS-C. They both have interchangeable mounts, so you can put like micro four thirds or maybe RF. I'm not sure, but definitely E-mount, which is pretty cool. We use Sony, so that can be nice. You don't need adapters. It's a passive mount, so obviously there is no autofocus on these cameras anyway, but you don't have image stabilization, you don't have any metadata, there is no communication between the camera and the lens. But still it's nice. The problem that I see is that the pricing from my perspective is still expensive. I've been really hoping for something under $10,000, like 4K, 1,000 frames per second, less than 10K. It's not there yet. It's I think the smaller sensor, the micro four third, is between, depending on the storage or basically the amount of storage that you have, between $14,500 and $16,000. And the second one, the APS-C sensor, the Super 35, is between $20,000 and $22,000. So yeah, that's a lot of money still.
So another couple of years.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, you have to remember that they're not just competing against Phantom. They're competing against FreeFly Amber, which is the new FreeFly camera, which is also Super 35. It's only 800 frames per second. it is a difference, but it's 18K, like 18 grand. So I know it's I guess we will have to wait a few more years for this to progress, or maybe Sony will come up with something.
Well, with
it won't be cheap, but I know that can be interesting. I know. Who knows?
Absolutely.
Maybe they can do an autofocus on
maybe something
slow motion camera. I know. So that's the Chronos cameras. Onto some lenses. There are new SIRUI lenses.
Those look really good.
They're called the Sniper f1.2 autofocus prime lenses, and there are 3 of them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think I don't remember the focal length. I'll put it on the screen, but I think that they're very similar focal lengths to what Sigma has in their APS-C line. They're APS-C lenses, so basically the Sigmas are f1.4. These are f1.2.
Very fast.
I've seen some reviews. The image quality, the sharpness in the center, it looks pretty okay. Depending on, I think that they're not exactly obviously similar, all 3 of them, but the corners definitely at f1.2 or
I think that's
it should be expected. Yeah. I mean, in video they can probably be good enough, but then again, if you wanted them for video, they have other video centric.
Yeah, this is what I was thinking, because they just came out with the night Stalker Walker. What they call it? The previous line, just in September.
But I'm thinking that these are slower lenses. These are actually faster. The still lenses.
Right, these are faster, but those are supposed to be like a better quality.
Yeah,
for video. So
I know it's kind of strange, but yeah.
But these are like all of SIRUI, the latest.
They look really nice, by the way. They're white and
real nice looking quality, like construction.
Build quality looks good.
I think I mean we've talked about this a lot already. You know, all the
Chinese So I'll put the prices on the screen. I think they're very affordable.
They're very affordable.
Yeah.
At 1.2, I mean, you can get away with some. I mean, still.
Yeah, if you're shooting like mostly like talking heads or something, it doesn't really matter if the corners are a little bit soft. It's sometimes it's even good.
Yeah,
depending on what you shoot.
It's that look that you might be going for. So.
Yeah, and again, inexpensive. So just more options.
Right.
DJI has a new. Actually, this one has been out for a while. A new mini drone, the Mini 4 Pro, which has a bunch of new features. I think it was a fairly low-key announcement.
Yeah, I kind of missed it.
Yeah, so they have. I wrote down a few improvements. So they have new sensors, redesigned remote, longer range, and larger battery. Basically, longer lasting battery. It's 4K 100p and it has a D-Log. So all of these. And again, it's super compact and it's nice.
It's a great little drone. I mean, for the
Did you
size,
fly the mini one?
The mini
one of them?
One of the older ones.
Oh, really?
I can't remember if it was.
Because you're usually shooting with the Air 3.
No, I'm flying the Mavic 2. It's an old one, but
really?
It still holds up.
Yeah.
And I don't fly that much, so
yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to play with one of the mini ones because just for I mean, it's mini, but compared to the older versions, I think
I think that the image quality might be, well, depending on how far how back you go, but I think, well, it depends.
The battery life, I mean, and the remote. Those are the two things because. On the old remotes, you still have to use your phone. I actually bring an extra phone, like with a bigger screen phone. And I don't know, it's never great because phones are just not bright enough.
Can you use tablets, by the way?
You can. There's holders for tablets. There's all kinds. You can put a sun hood on it, but that just has more stuff to bring, right? So like that's why I really love the new remotes because they're bright enough, or a lot brighter than the phone at least.
Yeah.
and it's a one. It's
Yeah,
integrated.
it doesn't
so you just
eat
pull it
your
out.
phone and you can use
Right.
it and whatever.
And when you have a really small drone body with a battery that'll give it
it's a small
an extra,
kit that you can put in your bag and take it everywhere. And yeah.
and fly for a lot not a lot, but substantially longer than
But
the previous.
don't they have
older
like
ones.
issues with wind more than the bigger ones?
If you get into like really, if you're up there in the mountains, maybe. But for the most part,
Yeah.
for just like
Works
aerials,
fine.
like not street, you can't really fly in the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything that's not like regular weather and conditions, not a problem.
Yeah,
I've flown like an old Air, whatever that one was, the previous one. I think it was the first Air, Mavic Air, here, like in the mountains, and yeah, it was struggling big time. But I mean, it's still
we've been through some upgrades. Like this is the fourth mini, so yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
they're well into the development.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Actually, I have to say, in general about DJI, and I've read it somewhere. I don't remember who wrote it. That potentially, not sure if this is their direction, but potentially DJI might be the biggest threat to Sony and Canon in the camera industry, because if they will decide, maybe they already decided, to develop an actual mirrorless line, who can stop them?
Yeah, they're huge.
They're a gigantic company with R&D,
And then they can put out something that's way more advanced because they have all these different technologies already available and developed like thoroughly.
Exactly.
And they can put together something that's like nothing else, nobody else has.
The menus can be completely different. Like they can design like menus which are completely like phone-like menus.
Right.
I'm looking at DJI very much like the Apple of the photography industry or whatever industry, the drone industry. So they can come up with, because if you're thinking about the camera industry, yeah, we're talking about all these developments and new features and new technologies, but a lot of the core features or functionalities are, go way like 20 years back at least, maybe more. The menus, if you're looking at the menus of all cameras, almost, maybe apart from, I don't know, Hasselblad or something, they're all like drilled down, very like old-fashioned menus. Yeah, some of them are nicer. You sometimes have touchscreen, but it's not like phone or iPhone, operating system.
Yeah, there's no operating system for cameras.
Exactly. And they can actually make
should
it.
Be by now, right?
Yeah, and they can actually make it. So they have the potential to do this. Will they go there? I know. They actually already have a camera, but it's a very niche, high-end, expensive video, or whatever you want to call it, cinema camera.
And it's been, a couple of years now?
So
at least a year.
They, in theory, can do a lot of interesting things, but, we will have to see. So let's go on to some, like, other accessories. So iFootage has a bunch of new accessories, which some of them, we actually got some of them. I'll show them maybe afterwards in a B-roll. Yeah, somewhere around here. We have a lot of products to review very soon. But these are like, how do you would call them? Reflectors? Modifiers, yeah. And they also have a new clamp, which is nice, which we didn't get. But we actually got the ones that are designed for the mini Bowens, not the full Bowens. Hopefully they can send us the full Bowens as well. And I talked to them about this. And we got some bags from them, which we're also testing. So that's an interesting thing. So that's the iFootage accessories, new accessories. And Nanlite has quite a few announcements recently. So the first one is a couple of new COB lights, the FC-300B and FC-500B. And these are supposed to be, I think, like lower end or lower cost at least, all-in-one COBs. So they don't have a ballast at all. Everything is like in the light itself. They're light, they're small, powerful, 300, 500, fairly inexpensive. So, and bicolor. I'm not sure if they have a mono, like a daylight version of them. So that's pretty nice. Again, smaller, low cost. and no ballast. That's a new design. That's what I wrote down. Besides that, I think they also have a Pavoslim.
Tube light?
I think it's 60C and 120. Not sure if these are. I keep forgetting because they have new panels, exactly, which I'm not sure if these are the panels or the panels have a different name.
Yeah.
Again, I put it on the screen. Too many lights from Nanlite in the past couple of weeks, but yeah. So they have basically. I'm not sure if they're tube or panels.
They have both though.
No, they have a lot of tubes, but I'm not sure if these are specifically tubes or panels. But we'll put it on the screen as well. And we talked about Ulanzi before, but another thing that they just I think a couple of days ago announced, and they talked to us about this even previously, is a new, they call it a fog machine. It's not a fog machine. It's basically like a handheld hazer, yeah. What I like about this design, there are now a couple of them, but their design is interesting because they have a small remote, which is magnetic, and it basically held onto the unit itself, which is nice because you can operate it from the unit, or if you want to put it behind something or something like that and operate. So yeah, it's a cool idea, and I think it's kind of inexpensive. I don't know. I'll put the pricing on the screen, but usually Ulanzi is not very expensive. So again, more options and affordable ones is always good. ZGCINE, the company that has this interesting line of batteries, they have a new battery, surprisingly. Yeah. This one is called ZG-H90. Strange name, but regardless, this is basically a different take. So they have a V-mount battery with all sorts of like USB-C PD. I think they were the first, I think, to come up with that. Yeah. So this one is not a V-mount. This one is basically a USB battery, like power bank, but it has a D-tap. So it's the other way around. Instead of doing like a V-mount with USB-C, you have a USB-C with a D-tap. So yeah, that's interesting. I have some ideas in this department, which I won't share in this right now. But
so it's 90 watt hours, or what's the 90 stand for?
Actually, that's a good question. I know. I'll put the exact specs on the screen. I know. I don't even know how much they cost. But it's a different take. I'm guessing it's cheaper than, let's say, comparable, if there is such a thing, V-mount, because otherwise, what's the point? It's a different form factor, but still, it's supposed to be cheaper. Making V-mount for whatever reason is more expensive than just a regular USB power bank of the same capacity, I'm guessing. Now we have a few interesting memory card related topics and some other related, we'll see in a second. But the first one is something from Prograde. They have a CF Express Type B card, which are the much faster ones, and these ones are like extremely fast. We're talking 3,400 megabytes per second read and 2,800 write, which is super fast. And a capacity of 1.3 terabytes. I'm thinking, what are you going to use it for? Like, even raw footage is, well, at the end of this talk, there will be something that might occupy this, but for the majority of users, I don't know, that's nuts. They also have a USB 4 reader, which is interesting. So that's pretty cool. So that's one thing. The second memory card related news is the new SD specification. This is 9.1, and it's kind of complex. There are a few things here. It's basically up to 2 gigabytes or gigs per per second. And I think the more important thing is that they introduce a new speed class, but it's a speed class specifically for the SD Express. So I'll explain. as you probably remember, there was the original SD, then there was the SD-HC, then there was the SD-XC, and the newer one, which is actually not that new anymore, is SD Express,
Right.
which is basically the SD version of the CF Express concept. I've done actually an interview with the person that was, I think, one of the managers of the SD Association way back, I think in 2019 or something like that, in our previous studio actually. And it was very, very interesting, and we talked about SD Express. So it's not new by any stretch of the imagination. But what is new is this specific specification, the 9.1. And you probably remember there are like with existing SD cards there is like V60, V90, right, which basically tells you that it's a minimum speed of either 60 megabytes per second or 90 megabytes per second. So for the SD Express there is E. So there is E150, E300, E450, and E600. It's basically, if I understand it correctly, the same thing. So a minimum speed, guaranteed speed of 150 megabytes per second, 300, 450, or 600. 600 is a lot.
And this one is going up to 2 gigs compared to the V90 of 90 megs?
The V90, it's more complex than this. The 600, the 150, 300, 450, and 600 is like the minimum.
Right.
The 2 gig is like it's like the max or whatever.
Right. No, but I'm saying the difference here is in this new specification is 2 gigs max.
I'm not 100% sure about this, but the minimum, the new E150,
whatever it is, it seems to be a lot faster.
Yeah. But the problem is, and that has been the problem for a long time, nobody supports this. SD Express is not supported as much, as far as I know, by any of the big manufacturers. So not Sony, not Canon, not Nikon, not anybody is actually supporting this. So, unless somebody will support this, then this is only on paper, basically. Okay. So it is what it is. And another somewhat related news, all sorts of like speeds and transfer speeds and everything. Finally, there is a Thunderbolt 5 specification announced. So this one, if you remember, Thunderbolt 3 was 40 gig per second, and Thunderbolt 4 was also the same speed.
Right.
So this one, the Thunderbolt 5, which again, nothing at the moment, as far as I know, supports it. There are no devices, Thunderbolt 5 devices, but this one is 80. So it's 80, yeah, that's a lot. 80,
that's fast.
Yeah, that's fast. And it with a boost mode, which I'm not sure how it works, it can go up to 120.
Wow.
So that's a lot. And there is also USB 4 version 2, which is also 80. So the USB 4 version 2 is like the Thunderbolt 5, basically the regular one. And it supports like on one cable you can hook up to 4, like with obviously daisy chaining or something, 3 4K monitors, or I think, I'm not sure how many 8Ks, 1 more, I don't know, and transfer DisplayPort 2.1 and up to 240 watts using USB-C PD.
With one port.
With one, yeah.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, yeah. So that's a lot. Again, not sure when we're actually going to see devices supporting this. Yeah. Maybe Apple next year? Who knows? So that's nice. So at least we have something to expect in the next Thunderbolt version. And the cables, by the way, are up to 2 meters with like these specifications, like 240 watts. The next one, I think, is something that you will like. You like Philip Bloom.
Of course. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? And he joined forces or hands or whatever with a manufacturer of filters, which seems logical because he tested a lot of filters. And he created ones that called Bloom Gold filters. So these ones are basically, I don't know, maybe you can say, it's like diffusion of some sort. They come
kind of
in
like a mist filter, but gold mist. There's been a black mist and a white mist. His is a gold mist.
Yeah.
Which supposed to be not as well.
He has a video explaining, what this does and on why he created this and for what function does it, what function does it serve. But yeah, it's worth watching if this is something that you're interested in. There is an 1/8, a 1/4, and a 1/2.
Right.
I think he uses the 8 all the time and only sometimes the 1/2. Usually those like with the mist, people don't use the very strong ones because they are too harsh.
It's noticeable.
Yeah. But maybe they have their uses, I don't know. So again, reduction in contrast, harsh highlights, softens a little bit the skin. So that's the primary use for this, I think. If I'm not mistaken, they're manufactured in the UK. Not 100% sure, but if they are, that's nice. And they're gold, like gold colored. So that's cool. So that's the Bloom Gold filters. Atomos has a Shogun 7-inch, which has like I think more codecs. I know
it's a funny one. I always I don't know what to expect from Atomos. Their approach is always like.
I have to be a little bit blunt here. I don't like what Atomos has been doing in recent years. I think that they're focusing. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that they're focusing on not sure if the wrong, but from our perspective, the wrong, things. A lot of their emphasis right now is on like cloud work and cloud connectivity, and this is the majority of what they're the big things that they're announcing. For our workflow, and I think the workflow of most of the people that we know, this is completely irrelevant in most situations. I know. Do you have any?
When you look at again, we talked about this after going to IBC. When you look at the direction and the trajectory of the industry and how much of a push there is to make gear available and affordable for the content creator and for just anybody getting into the field. And then there's so much of that, and it's just like there you go. I mean, you want lenses, there's lenses. You want cameras are getting more affordable. There's a bunch of different accessories, and then you look at a monitor, and it's like Atomos is doing like these really niche, high-end type things with
I'm not
cloud.
sure if they are so high-end. I don't think that this one is like super expensive. I'm thinking that the cloud thing is just not that important for most users.
That's what I'm saying. Like that would be like you're working on a big production with different editors, and you want to go in straight to the studio while you're in the field and that kind of stuff. If you compare that kind of workflow with just like a run and gun type, one man studio type thing, then nothing. It's
completely irrelevant,
right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean. Viltrox, for example, and this is probably not part of this news, but they're doing something completely different with monitors. I was just looking at that this week. They're going like making it again. It's a quality monitor, but it's inexpensive, right? So they're going the other way. And monitors are a funny one because there's plenty available, but they're kind of like in the middle. They're not. There's some specialty ones, and there's some
high end, like small HD or
small HD, and then Portkeys have been doing a great thing. That's more of a premium one.
Portkey, as I would say, are in the middle. Small HD is like a little bit higher end. Who else is? There are a couple of like higher end monitor companies, but I know.
So there's a spectrum there already, right?
Yeah.
But Atomos is still kind of on the fringe somewhere. They're just kind of doing their own thing. I don't know. I have not seen...
I would expect something completely different, like completely revamped I don't know, menus, changing, adding, like introducing maybe Android into this. I can think of a million things that they can do and not focus on that. But, okay. It is what it is. So there is a new a new monitor from Atomos. On to something super simple, but actually useful. Kondur Blue, which we actually saw them in IBC just for a few minutes. We talked to them, but they didn't have a stand. They were just, they had a representative walking the show. So they have a multi-tool, which is kind of nice. The video is really cool. I'll put part of the video on the screen. I'm not sure if I like the ergonomics, but the idea is nice. And multi-tools, we have a bunch. I'm a freak for tools. I have like million Art knows. I have like tools of any shape and size, and so this is a multi-tool specifically designed for photography. So obviously it has all the T and the flat head and everything that you need. That's a pretty cool idea. It's not super expensive, so and it's blue. So
it's Kondur Blue.
Yeah. The next one is like, I don't know. Did you see this one? The Stockcam.
The gun camera.
It's, I don't know. Can you explain to me who is this? Is, if I'll put it on the screen, it's Kickstarter or Indiegogo project, like crowdfunding project. Who funds this sort of thing? Who needs this? I mean,
I don't know. It's been around for years.
Yeah, it's not the first one I've seen.
Yeah, they've had these. I remember like old Soviet ones that they had.
Yeah.
And it was. I don't know why you would want that to begin with.
If you're walking with one of these right now, somebody can actually shoot you. So be careful. I know. So that's just a peculiar thing. Sometimes I find these. So
you want to feel like a hunter, but you're not. But you're actually soft.
Taking pictures.
Yeah, your heart is too kind to kill an animal, so
you just take pictures.
It's I don't know.
It's a bizarre thing. Accsoon has 2 new sliders.
Yeah.
And that's nice because we actually tested some Accsoon stuff, right?
Sliders on the market,
yeah. So they're called TopRig S40 and S60. I'm guessing it's 40 centimeters and 60 centimeters. So kind of small and compact. From what I've seen, I don't know, did you see some videos about them?
No, I actually missed that.
These are the one interesting thing about them, besides like being small and light, is that I think they have like buttons on the slider itself. And you can do a lot of the functionality, the basic functionality, very easily from the slider itself, which is kind of cool because there is not a lot of like complex programming. You can do A and B points, and you can do like how do you like basically
curve position?
I'm not sure if it's exactly curve, but it's like I don't know. It changes angles.
Right.
So you can do parallax, I think it's called. So you can do that, and obviously change speed, I'm guessing, through the bottoms. And you have like a slider. So it's a nice, simple interface. They're compact, pretty inexpensive, really nice design. I don't know. Maybe we can talk to them and do a review. It looks like a nice travel. Basically a slider, motorized slider, obviously. So that's that. This is not a news per se, but this is something that I've been using. I want to mention it. I don't know if you used it. You've been using the latest Photoshop, I'm guessing. Right. So they have a new feature which it's not in the beta. It's I think in the regular one, but they call it beta in the regular one. So it's kind of strange. I'm talking about the camera. It's in Camera Raw, and it's called Lens Blare feature or Lens Blare. It's basically in I think it's one of the. I don't know if you can call it
or plug-in.
No,
I mean, what menu is it under?
In the Camera Raw menu, in one of the lower ones.
Okay.
So if you update it to the latest one, Photoshop, you can see it. So it's kind of nice. Obviously, you have sort of like lens blare mimicking in like all the phones have them.
I hate those.
It's horrible. I mean,
they never get it right.
Yeah, exactly. This one is actually pretty good, and that's the point.
Is it AI based or something?
I'm guessing. So basically, it's again still in beta, but it's in the regular one. And the nice thing is that you can choose what focal length do you want to mimic. So up to 85 millimeter. I'm not sure if you can actually choose the aperture, which actually would make sense. I don't remember, but I'll show a demo and on the screen right now. It's pretty good. If you're not overdoing it, it's completely seamless. It looks very realistic. You have intensity and you can choose like where in the image do you want to do it and by how much. It's quite advanced. And it's good. I've used it on a couple of images and they turn out like, sometimes you just want a little bit more like blurriness on the background. If you're shooting with 2.8 f4 something like that. But there is something distracting in the background. You add it, and it's like good as new, basically, like you've been using like an f1.4 or something. But yeah, if you're overdoing it, it's not amazing. But it will probably get better. But at the moment, I would say it's worth trying. And if you have Photoshop, it's free, so why not? Two last things before we wrap things up. Do you know Yul Bryner, the actor?
I do not.
Really?
No.
Okay, so maybe in Russia he wasn't very famous. He was like in the Ten Commandments and like all these like old movies. He was a very famous actor.
Was that the 50s, the 60s?
I think the 60s. I'm guessing the 60s. I'm not. Maybe the 50s. It's actually a good question. I put it on the screen as always, but yeah. No, but he was a really famous actor. And what I didn't know about him was that he was also a photographer, but a very gifted one. And the reason I know about this is that Leica, he shot with Leica, like a lot of photographers back then. And he used to go to the movie, to like on production. He took his camera with him, and he do like behind the scenes with the other actors, and I think it's very special because when you bring an outside photographer to a set, then everybody acts a little bit different. Maybe if he's on the set all the time, then people get used to him, but or her or whatever. But in this case, like he's one of the actors. So he's basically involved with the other actors, and he was able to get like very candid like shots that it's very difficult for anybody else to take.
When you're part of the crowd, it's like the band photos by the band
by one
members,
of the people people in the band. Yeah, exactly. So he was a very gifted photographer, and Leica did a video, I think, with his daughter or something. Again, I'll have a link to it in the description, in the video, in the text, in LensVid, and it's a really nice video. That you see some of his images, and apparently she found some of his work and she didn't know about this. So it's really interesting, and it's cool that Leica did the video. It's high quality production. Nice, yeah. It's like it's nice seeing this. And the final one is pretty crazy. You heard about the Las Vegas? It's called the Sphere.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. So
I heard they were doing videos, of course. I heard they were doing movies.
Yeah. The thing is basically a theater. Yeah. The outside is like a presentation for the entire Vegas Strip or whatever. But I've been to Vegas twice. I think in 2009 and 8 and 9, something like that, for CES. But obviously this wasn't there. But it's open, I think, for a couple of months or something like that.
That's pretty new. Yeah.
And what I think that the inside the dome itself is like the outside. I don't remember the resolution. It's pretty high, but not insane. But the inside is unbelievable. People who saw this say that it's really out of this world, the experience. And it's like you need to create the resolution for this. And apparently, a photographer named Darren, I'm butchering this. Aronofsky, yeah. So this guy got some interviews all over the place, and he explained, he did a film for the sphere, for the inside, obviously, and he used like this new gigantic camera, like it's not that big, it's kind of beefy with a huge lens. And it's an 18K. Yeah, it's insanity. 18K camera, and it requires about 12 people to operate. It's like connecting everything and operating it. And the thing that really blew my mind was how big the resulting video footage is. So the film, from what I understand, is half a petabyte. So just to be clear,
feature. How long is the?
Yeah, I'm not. It's a nature film, so like
it's gotta be long enough.
an hour. I'm not sure, but half a petabyte. Petabyte, for those who don't know, is 1,000 terabytes.
So 500 terabyte clip.
500 terabytes. Yeah.
That's great.
Now, my latest QNAP, we talked about this, NAS is 80 terabytes.
So you couldn't even hold it?
So it's like 9 of those, basically, for one.
And that's the resulting clip. How much footage does he have?
This is what I don't know. I don't know if the raw footage is half a terabyte or the video. Clip. But regardless, it's insane. So yeah, that's this camera. I'll put maybe an image on the screen if it's
some people operate. What are the?
I'm not
six people are just carrying it, and 6 people are running the.
It doesn't look from the images. Doesn't look that big, but. Yeah, it's the lens actually looks like a spherical lens, like a huge fish eye. I'm not sure if this is the only lens, if it's replaced. I'm not sure. He didn't mention that, but I know it's kind of crazy. So that's
it's gotta be a huge sensor and a huge like the lens coverage needs to be
18K.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, but
and he shot it all over
every continent. Yeah, but I think that for this specific, this is designed to be shot and featured on the sphere, and for the sphere, I think it makes sense because,
of course,
for every other media, I would say, why do you actually need to shoot in this resolution? What theater can actually show this? Well, in the sphere, when you're looking all over, and it's like it's not 3D. It's like an all-encompassing experience. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. I'm guessing. I can't wait to actually go and watch this. So that's our last one.
That's the news for today.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody, don't forget to subscribe and obviously watch or read the full article with all of the links. On LensVid.com.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
In today's LensVid Talk, we're looking at global shutter, new affordable LensVid. What? In today's 18K video, half a petapixel, 2 cameras, and 18K resolution film.
Stick around.